I discover my girlfriend in bed with my roommate. Her defense? You're always at work. What did you expect? I replied, fair point. Then I called the landlord, removed my name from the lease, and transferred the full rent responsibility to her. When she got the notice 48 hours later, original post, I-27 male, work in IT infrastructure for a healthcare company. The job pays well, around $78,000 a year, but it comes with a cost. When systems go down, people can't access medical records. When servers crash, hospital operations get disrupted. So when I get called in, I go. No questions asked. This means long hours. Sometimes 12-hour shifts. Sometimes weekend emergencies. Sometimes I leave at 7 a.m. and don't get home until 10 p.m. It's not every day, but it's often enough that my girlfriend started complaining about it 6 months into our relationship. We've been together for 2 years. She moved into the apartment I share with my roommate, 26M, about 14 months ago. The lease situation is important here. I'm the primary leaseholder. I've been since I moved in 3 years ago. My roommate was added as an occupant when he joined a year later, and my girlfriend was added when she moved in. But the lease, the actual contract with the landlord, is in my name. I'm the one who passed the credit check, the background check, paid the security deposit of $3,200. My roommate and I split rent 50-50 on a $2,400 per month apartment. When my girlfriend moved in, she started contributing $400 toward utilities and groceries. Not rent. She said she couldn't afford rent on her barista's salary, and I believed her because I'm apparently an idiot. Quick math. I was paying $1,200 in rent, my roommate was paying $1,200, and my girlfriend was paying $400 toward other expenses. I was also covering most of our food, streaming subscriptions, and date nights because you make more money. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs. The way she'd get annoyed when I had to work late. The way she started spending more time at home with my roommate while I was gone. The way they'd be watching movies together when I came home, sitting a little too close on the couch. But I trusted them. Both of them. My roommate had been my friend since college. My girlfriend said she loved me. 3 weeks ago, I came home early. I've been dealing with a server migration that was supposed to take all night. But the vendor's team got their act together faster than expected, and I was released around 8 p.m. instead of 2 a.m. I didn't text ahead because I wanted to surprise my girlfriend. Maybe order pizza, watch something together, have a normal evening for once. I walked into the apartment quietly. Heard sounds coming from the bedroom. My bedroom, the one I share with my girlfriend. You know what I heard? You know what I found when I opened the door? They weren't even subtle about it. Didn't even lock the door. I stood there for maybe 3 seconds. Felt like 3 hours. Then I turned around, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water. They came out about 5 minutes later. My girlfriend was wrapped in a sheet, my sheet, and my roommate was pulling on sweatpants. Both of them looked like deer in headlights. My girlfriend spoke first. Babe, I can explain. I'm sure you can. It's not what it looks like. It looked like you were sleeping with my roommate in my bed. Is that not what it was? She did this thing with her face. Half guilty, half defiant. Then she said the words that genuinely made me laugh out loud. You're always at work. What did you expect? I stared at her. Then at my roommate, who was suddenly very interested in the floor. Fair point, I said. She looked confused. What? I said fair point. I'm always at work. You're right. That must be very difficult for you. So, you understand? I understand perfectly. I finished my water, set the glass in the sink, and walked past both of them to grab my laptop bag from the living room. Then I left. I didn't yell, didn't throw things, didn't cry, just left. Drove to my buddy's place, a guy from work who I'd helped through his own breakup last year. He let me crash on his couch, no questions asked. The next morning, I started making calls. First call, the landlord. Now, here's where the lease situation becomes critical. I'm the primary leaseholder. My name, my credit, my security deposit. The lease renewal was coming up in 2 months anyway, and I've been meaning to talk to the landlord about some maintenance issues. Perfect timing. I explained the situation. Not all the details, just that I needed to remove myself from the lease due to a change in living circumstances, and I wanted to know my options. The landlord was surprisingly understanding. He said if I gave 30 days notice, I could terminate my portion of the lease agreement. The remaining occupants, my roommate and girlfriend, would have the option to sign a new lease in their own names, subject to credit and income verification. Here's the kicker. My roommate works part-time at a record store. My girlfriend works part-time at a coffee shop. Neither of them makes enough to qualify for the apartment on their own. Combined? Still probably not enough. The landlord requires tenants to make 3 times the monthly rent in gross income. That's $7,200 a month combined. My roommate makes maybe $1,800. My girlfriend makes around $1,600. They're about $3,800 short. I asked the landlord to send them the official notice once I submitted my termination paperwork. He agreed. Second call, the utility company. I'm the account holder for electricity and internet. I scheduled both to be transferred out of my name in 30 days, same as the lease notice. Third call, my buddy from work, asking if I could crash for a month while I found a new place. He said yes. Over the next 2 days, I went back to the apartment twice. Once while they were both at work to grab my clothes and important documents, and once with my buddy to get my gaming setup and some furniture that was mine before anyone else moved in. I left the couch, theirs, the TV, mine, but not worth the hassle, and most of the kitchen stuff. I also left a note. Lease termination notice incoming. You have 30 days. Good luck. The official notice from the landlord arrived 48 hours after I'd submitted my paperwork. My phone exploded. Update 1 week later. So the fallout has been something. When the notice arrived, my ex-girlfriend called me 19 times in 2 hours. I let them all go to voicemail. The messages progressed from confused to angry to desperate. First voicemail. What is this? What did you do? Call me back. Fifth voicemail. You can't just kick us out. This is my home too. 12th voicemail. I know you're mad, but this is insane. We can talk about this. Please. Final voicemail. If you don't call me back, I'm calling the cops. This is illegal. It's not illegal, BTW. I checked with the landlord and did some research. I'm the leaseholder. I gave proper notice. The remaining occupants were notified of the change. Everything by the book. My roommate tried a different approach. He sent me a long text message. I'm talking paragraphs about how I was overreacting and how these things happen and how we've been friends for years and I should think about what I'm throwing away. I read it twice, then sent back. You threw it away when you slept with my girlfriend. Good luck with the apartment. He didn't respond. Then the landlord called me. Apparently my roommate and ex had gone to the leasing office demanding to know how to stop this. The landlord explained that they couldn't stop it. I was within my rights to terminate. He also explained that if they wanted to stay, they'd need to qualify for a new lease on their own. They didn't qualify. The landlord told me. Probably shouldn't have, but he's been decent to me over 3 years, that their combined income and credit scores weren't sufficient. He offered them 2 options: find a qualified co-signer or vacate by the end of my 30-day notice period. My ex-girlfriend's mom called me 3 days after the notice arrived. What the hell do you think you're doing to my daughter? Hello to you too. She told me you're trying to make her homeless over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Is that what she called it? She said you two were having problems and things got complicated. The complication was your daughter sleeping with my roommate in my bed while I was at work. The work that pays for the apartment she's now losing access to. Silence. Then, she didn't tell me that part. I'm sure she didn't. Ask her about it. Then decide if you want to co-sign their new lease. She hung up. I never heard from her again, so I'm guessing the co-signer option is off the table. Meanwhile, I've been apartment hunting. Found a decent 1-bedroom about 20 minutes from work. Smaller than what I had, but it's mine. Just mine. No roommate, no girlfriend, no drama. The application went through yesterday. I move in 2 weeks. The 30-day notice period ends in 3 weeks. My ex and former roommate have made no progress on finding a new place or qualifying for the current one. They're running out of time. But here's where things got interesting. My ex showed up at my work. I was in the middle of a meeting when my desk phone rang. Internal line from the front desk. The receptionist said there was a woman in the lobby asking for me, and she seemed agitated. I excused myself from the meeting, went down to the lobby, and found my ex pacing near the elevator bank. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't. You're ruining my life. You ruined your own life when you made choices. I'm just responding to those choices. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. You're supposed to forgive and move on, not destroy everything." The receptionist was watching. A couple of my coworkers were watching. I kept my voice low and even. "You slept with my roommate. In my bed. Then you blame me for working too much. That's not a mistake. That's a decision. You made it. Now you live with it. I can't afford to live anywhere. Don't you understand that? Sounds like a problem you should solve with your new boyfriend, the one you were sleeping with." She started crying. Loud, messy crying. Security came over and asked if everything was okay. I said yes. I was just leaving. My ex grabbed my arm. "Please. I'll do anything. I'll apologize. I'll make it up to you. Just don't do this." I pull my arm away. "You can't make this up. There's nothing to make up. We're done. The lease is ending. Find somewhere else to live." Security escorted her out. My boss asked if I needed to talk to HR about a personal situation affecting the workplace. I said no, it was handled. It wasn't handled, but it would be. Update 2. 2 weeks later. The 30-day notice period is almost over. 4 days left. My ex and my former roommate have apparently turned on each other. I found this out through a mutual friend who's still in contact with both of them. According to this friend, my ex blames my roommate for seducing her. My roommate blames my ex for coming on to him when she was lonely. They've been arguing constantly, and the apartment, my former apartment, is now a war zone. Neither of them has found a new place to live. My roommate has been looking at studio apartments, but with his income and credit, he can't qualify for much. My ex has been reaching out to friends asking to crash on couches, but apparently most of her friends have gotten the full story by now and aren't eager to get involved. I moved into my new place last week. It's small but clean. I've got my bed, my desk, my gaming setup, and not much else. But it's quiet. No one comes home unexpectedly to find things they shouldn't find. No one blames me for working the job that pays the bills. I also discovered something interesting. Remember how I said my ex was paying $400 a month toward utilities and groceries? Well, I went back through my bank records while setting up my new budget. Turns out, for the last 4 months, she'd been forgetting to Venmo me her portion. I've been covering it without noticing because I was too busy with work and too trusting to check. That's $1,600 I'll never see again. Lesson learned. My former roommate sent me another message a few days ago. This one was different, less defensive, more desperate. "Look, I know I messed up. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to give us more time. The landlord is threatening eviction proceedings if we're not out by the deadline. Can you talk to him? Ask for an extension? Just 2 more weeks. That's all I need." I thought about it for about 30 seconds. Then I typed back, "No." He called me heartless. I called it consequences. The best part? My roommate apparently tried to use our friendship as leverage with the landlord. Told him that I'd want them to have more time, that we were working things out, that I was probably going to change my mind. The landlord called me to verify. I told him I wasn't changing my mind and that my former roommate was not authorized to speak on my behalf. 2 days ago, the landlord informed me that he'd started the formal eviction process since they hadn't vacated by the agreed-upon date and couldn't qualify for a new lease. They have 7 days to leave before legal action begins. My ex called me one more time yesterday. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Are you happy now?" she asked. Her voice was flat, defeated. "I'm not unhappy. We're going to have an eviction on our records. Do you know what that does to people? We won't be able to rent anywhere decent for years. Maybe you should have thought about that before you slept with my roommate and blamed me for it." I said I was sorry. "No, you didn't. You said, 'You're always at work. What did you expect?' That's not an apology. That's a justification." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I didn't think you'd actually do anything." "I know. That's the problem. You thought I'd just accept it. Roll over. Keep paying for an apartment where my girlfriend sleeps with my roommate because I work too hard to support her. You were wrong. This isn't the person I thought you were." Funny. I was thinking the same thing about you. I hung up. Final update, 3 weeks later. It's over. My former roommate moved out first, crashed with his parents 3 states away. I heard through the mutual friend grapevine that it was a pretty humiliating situation. A 26-year-old moving back in with mom and dad because he couldn't keep an apartment after sleeping with his roommate's girlfriend. Apparently, his parents weren't thrilled when they found out the full story. My ex held out longer. She refused to leave, hoping, I don't know what, that I'd come back, that the landlord would change his mind, that reality would stop applying to her. The eviction went through. The landlord had to involve the courts, which meant my ex now has an eviction judgment on her record. Not just an eviction proceeding, an actual judgment. That follows you for 7 years. Good luck renting anything better than a room in someone's house with that on your record. She ended up moving back in with her parents too. 45 minutes from the city, no public transportation, which means she probably had to quit her barista job or find a new one closer to home. Either way, her life got significantly smaller because of choices she made. Do I feel bad? Honestly, a little. Not for her. She made her choices, but for the situation in general. 2 years of my life with someone who saw me as a meal ticket and a backup plan. A friendship I thought was solid, destroyed because my buddy couldn't keep in his pants when I was at work. An apartment I'd made into a home, now associated with memories I'd rather forget. But here's what I keep coming back to. You're always at work. What did you expect? That question tells you everything you need to know about how she saw our relationship. I was working to build a future. She was waiting for me to fail so she could justify her behavior. When I succeeded at my job, but wasn't home enough to supervise her, she decided that was my fault. The audacity of blaming me for working, for providing, for being responsible. My new apartment is quiet. I come home to silence, which used to bother me, but now feels like peace. I make my own dinner, watch what I want, go to bed when I'm tired. No one is waiting for me to leave, so they can do things I'm not supposed to know about. I've started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee dates here and there. I'm being more careful this time, asking questions about values, about expectations, about what a partnership actually means. The last woman I went out with asked about my work hours, and I told her the truth. It's demanding, but it's important, and I'm not going to apologize for having a career. She said she respected that. We're getting dinner next week. One more thing. The mutual friend who'd been keeping me updated finally admitted something last week. Apparently, my ex and my roommate had been hooking up for at least 4 months before I caught them. For months of coming home to a girlfriend who'd just been with someone else. For months of sitting on the couch with a roommate who was sleeping with my partner. I asked how he knew. She told me. After everything fell apart. She said it started as just a comfort thing when you were working late, and it evolved. She didn't think you'd ever find out. She thought I was too busy to notice. Yeah, basically, I sat with that for a while. For months. The entire time, I'd been working overtime to pad our savings for a future apartment together. She'd been sleeping with my roommate. The future I was building was already demolished before I knew it existed. But you know what? That information didn't make me angrier. It made me more certain I'd done the right thing. Some people will say I was too harsh. That I should have talked it out, gone to couples therapy, given her a second chance. But here's the thing. She didn't ask for a second chance. She asked me what I expected. She told me it was my fault for working. She showed up at my job and made a scene instead of taking accountability. She had every opportunity to apologize sincerely, to show remorse, to acknowledge that she'd done something wrong. Instead, she spent a month trying to manipulate me into undoing the consequences of her actions. That's not someone who deserves a second chance. That's someone who deserves exactly what she got. The natural results of treating people like they're disposable. I'm not a hero in this story. I'm just a guy who worked hard, got betrayed, and decided not to be a doormat about it. The lease was in my name. The security deposit was my money. The apartment was my responsibility until I decided it wasn't anymore. They wanted me gone? They got it. Just not the way they expected. My new place has a small balcony. Sometimes I sit out there in the evenings with a beer and just breathe. No anxiety about what I might find when I open my bedroom door. No wondering if my girlfriend is actually at her friend's place or somewhere else. No pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't. It's not perfect. I'm not completely healed. Some nights, I still feel the sting of betrayal, the embarrassment of being made a fool. But those nights are getting fewer. And when they come, I remind myself I didn't lose anything worth keeping. I just stopped paying for things that weren't mine.